All right, so what's up, y'all? So I have an interesting topic here that I want to present regarding, mental health and wellness and digital minimalism and things like that. Probably unpopular, but I'm willing to bring it up. So one thing, of course, my wife knows that I do this, but one thing that I do that probably many people don't know is, you know how you have like stuff like spell check and other autocorrect for grammar and stuff like that. Pretty much anytime I am typing up a document or something that corrects me, typically what I'll do is I'll literally go back and delete that and then correct it myself because usually I've kind of like fat fingered something or whatever. And it's probably weird seeming. It probably is. But the reason why I do that is because I always have this desire on the inside of me to be able to kind of like figure things out and to use my own brain to do things. And that's something that I've been doing, since I was in grade school, ever since all this stuff kind of came to be. But like I said, it could be overkill. It could be me being kind of extreme, but I'm kind of the opinion that um, we as humans should retain some of our ability to figure things out, to learn and implement things on our own. And I realize that could be, like I say, in this day and age, it's 2024. It is technology is just amazing these days. There's a lot of things, a lot of tools out there that kind of take out the work of like, grammatical and spelling and even stuff like remembering passwords and usernames and all of this kind of stuff. It's a lot of things that take all of that work out. And so I recognize like my way of thinking could be considered to be kind of like just weird and just kind of off the wall. But sometimes I kind of wonder if we kind of use various tools to kind of keep us from being able from having to remember things, all kinds of things. Part of me is like, okay, so is there an extent to which that becomes overkill? Could be like, does it start to reduce whatever you're worth, so to speak, as a human? Because we have the ability to do these things. I'm old enough to remember when, of course, we didn't have cell phones and whatnot. Just the landline phone where all you did was just dial and you talked and that was it. Definitely not text messages or any of this other stuff that's on like smartphones and whatnot. But anyway, I'm old enough to remember those type of things. So that was a time when you had to remember phone numbers. And so you might even have like a piece of paper taped on the wall by the phone that had like some important phone numbers. A lot of times parents did that so that kids would know who to call if the parents weren't home and something happened, or something was needed. Um, but you remembered phone numbers. You remember, of course, your home number. You remember friends' numbers. You remember grandma and them's numbers and stuff like that. But these days, like that is just non-existent. And I know kids who grew up in this day and age don't, they probably can't imagine that. But if you're around my age, 30s and up, then you know that it is possible. It's not a big deal. And it was something that you were able to do without really putting any thought into it. Um, but yeah, so we I will say this too. I realized that, ever since the invention of like the personal computer, um, or before then, or well before then, there were times where there was no such thing as like people having to remember a lot of the grammatical rules we use in school. Because, typically people don't use that stuff a lot whenever they graduate unless they're like in some sort of particular job where they have to type documents or they write books or something like that. So I understand that hasn't always been a thing. I understand that phone numbers haven't always been a thing. Passwords haven't always been a thing. So there was a time where people didn't do any of this stuff. However, there were things that people had to remember. Like they had to remember how to, um, to measure different things, whether it be like for building something or cooking something or different stuff like that. I'm saying all that to say that my concern, especially as it pertains to the health of the mind, my concern is that we're outsourcing a lot of stuff, and it is kind of becoming to our detriment. That now to check this out. So on that note, I actually came across an article that I'm going to do a podcast about. And it was talking about things to do to, to stave off dementia, where the brain deteriorates and the ability to think cognitively and all that kind of stuff is severely diminished to the point where somebody is really not able to function well at all. Um, but anyhow, one of the things that the doctor, and I'll try to remember to link to this article. The doctor referenced in that article was talking about how cognitive stimulation um, was a way to kind of stave off dementia. And when he was talking about cognitive stimulation, he was specifically talking about like learning a new language, attending a seminar, listening to music or dancing. Anything that engages your mind will help it stay healthy. Now, again, going back in this day and age, we're in a time where we don't have to remember how to do anything, it seems like, especially, we even getting into AI where you can tell ChatGPT to, write, you know, icebreaker questions for your 15-year-old's birthday party, or to type a document, about, I don't know, the study of bees or something like that in the language of I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Like we're in an unprecedented time in regard to technology and how it adds to convenience and whatnot. Um, which is cool. But at the same time, like I said, in my mind, I kind of start to get to like, where does it become too much? Where does it become, you know, excessive, like where you're not really actually using your own brain? Because like we're literally born with the ability to think, to reason, to figure things out. And it seems like we're trying to move into a place where we're not figuring things out, where we're not using our own creativity, while other people use creativity to develop all of these tools and whatnot. Um, and I just wonder if it's too much. I'm curious to what you guys as to what you guys think about this type of this what I'm talking about. Like, do you use autocorrect? Do you use things that help you to like not have to remember your passwords and usernames and things like that? And if so, do you think that there is an extent to which that we should um go in regard to these technological conveniences that keep us from having to remember anything? Um, do you believe that we should, as a personal requirement, self-discipline ourselves with such conveniences? I want to hear from you. Now, I personally believe that, but I want to know what you think. So comment below with your thoughts about, autocorrect and all these different type of tools that keep us from remembering anything. Um, so yeah, I just want to hear from you. Just remember though, like I said, the article on dementia was talking about the importance of stimulating your brain, actually encouraging yourself to think. So I'm curious, as things kind of like continue to develop to discourage us from thinking, I'm curious as to what you think about what I've mentioned here about tools that keep us from having to remember our phone numbers and passwords and usernames and how to spell and how to put words together and all that kind of stuff. That's all I got, y'all.